welcome to Property Matters. Today we are launching our brand new podcast that we've created to help aspiring property investors and those of you who may be a little bit more established to understand how property investment works, to share our challenges and how we've overcome them, and to make investment in property a reality if that's something you truly desire. I'm joined today by Paul Laurie, who I am privileged to say is my brother, so I'm a little bit biased on his skill set. And I've asked him to join us today because he works with us in Proper-Tay Wealth, and his main function is to help find properties and to support me with the investors. And I felt it'd be great for him to share some of what he does and how his day-to-day sort of runs and how he supports people in their journey. So welcome, Paul. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for the introduction. Appreciate it.
So really today what I was hoping to do is explain to people a bit around the due diligence process and the work that you do on a day-to-day basis for us, but also for the investors that we do, and how you can help those that are maybe starting out to really look at whether a deal is a deal.
Okay, well, first of all, we need to work out exactly what the end market value is on any property when we've potentially spent a lot of money on a refurb or a refit or added an extra bedroom or an extension, etc. So to do that, I have some systems that I use with regards to the computer systems that produce reports that allow me to get an estimated end market value on a property at a high finish, which is obviously what we're always looking for. So you get a quick resale at the back end and people really want to buy the property. And the other thing that we also do is we speak to our local agents and get a rough estimate from those guys as well, because I think it helps to have an overall view, and the more opinions you have, the better with regards to that. So you get a decent average and a mean to go off. And then from there, it's a case of working out how much the refit, etc., would be worth and how much we'd have to do on that and what costs would be involved in that. And then we look at the property in reality, what it is today and what it's worth, and then what we can offer based on that. And I never worry about how little or how high I'm offering. It's all about that end market value and how those percentages work for our clients.
Yeah, always the numbers. Take out the emotion. It's always the facts and the figures.
Absolutely. And it never bothers me to offer. I just offer on every single viewing that I do when I go and view the properties, and just make sure that everything's exactly as it shows in the photos or the home report, because sometimes they can be a little bit misleading.
Yeah, to say the least, even for ourselves. So I guess to break that down a little bit for somebody who's just starting out, maybe they've not gone on the property training that you and I have done, they don't know where to start. So if they were just looking for their first property on the market without that knowledge and training, where would you tell them to go and how would you tell them to get started?
Okay, I would suggest they go and find somebody to source a property for you, to be honest with you, because it's not easy. And viewing the amount of properties that you need to view to potentially get a deal across the line will surprise people. I mean, there are times where quite literally I'm viewing sort of 30 or 40 properties in a week, and I may not get one that crosses the line. But on the other side of that, with the numbers involved in property, it's worth the effort.
Okay, absolutely. So if they were looking online on Rightmove or the dreaded Zoopla, we'll come back to why that's a dreaded Zoopla. Is that a way for them to start to understand their market and where they're looking to buy?
Well, certainly. I mean, you can understand the local marketplace with regards to streets and obviously what the pricing is on that particular street. So you can obviously look that up. You also look at sold prices through Rightmove, which will give you an even better idea on a particular street what properties have gone for. And sometimes you even get sort of recorded data that may even go back as much as 20 years. So when you're buying a property, you can even find out what somebody purchased it for in the first place.
Yeah. So on the Zoopla point, guys, we don't use Zoopla because that takes the average prices of property sold and it's quite outdated on the data. So when we're looking at values, we would normally use Rightmove or some of our industry specific access points that we've got so that we can really judge the true prices that are being paid and the values of the properties in those areas. You touched on sourcing. So we obviously offer that as a service.
Absolutely.
So that's why I was laughing. So we're not just here to sell you stuff, guys. You can use sourcers. There's several out there, including ourselves, at varying price points. So it can be affordable. But the big saving really is the time.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, I mean, I can look at 40 properties and maybe not get one across the line. So that all takes time. Even evaluating the property in the first place, I'd spend at least, before I even go and do a viewing, I'd spend at least 45 minutes to an hour on assessing whether a deal is a deal. And then obviously I've got to go and do the viewing itself, which may take sort of 20 minutes, half an hour. Take film footage just in case I've missed something. And also when I get back, it just reminds me of exactly which property I was looking at. And also from a point of view of giving it to our investors, if it's something that we're not going to take and do ourselves, because we obviously do our own properties, then I can obviously give them that film footage and they can then make their own mind up based on what they see.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the service that we provide and other people like us provide, it's really a guidance service. It's never this is exactly what you should do kind of situation, because ultimately every investor has different criteria and need to make their decisions for themselves.
Absolutely. And unfortunately, there is no guarantees in property. So whilst it is a great provider of income, if you're able to buy the right properties in the first place, there's no guarantees.
Yeah. And I guess a great case for that would be one that we're due to finish soon, hopefully, fingers crossed. And we'll have a property up for sale next week. And that property came to us off market. So that means that we found it without going through Rightmove or any of the normal agencies. But we can't tell you where, because that's the secret sauce. But we sourced that property. We had an expectation on profits, but there were some challenges that came up that have eaten into the profit margin. So while the deal is still a great deal, it has significantly cost us more money, probably in the region of £17,000 more than we planned, despite how knowledgeable we are and all the research that we've done.
Absolutely. And in that case, we'd even had a builder use drones footage, because it was the roof that causes the issue, to try and find out if there was going to be an issue in the first place with the roofs, etc. And that's where the most of the cost has been sort of heavily put on us to replace it. But there was enough money in it in the first place for it not to be a major worry. We're still making, obviously, a reasonable amount of profit out of that. So thankfully, I bought it at the right price.
So that's probably the top tip for today, guys. Buy at the right price, do your due diligence, know what the end market value is going to be, and always have contingency, because actually you never really know until you get to the roots of it and you start knocking down walls or pulling off plaster what you're going to find underneath, despite the work that we've done.
Absolutely. There's so much hidden in property with regards to even just things like carpeting on the floors. You don't know what's under there until you pull your carpet up.
So hopefully that's given you some insights into the work that we do at Proper-Tay Wealth, but it's also made you think about property investment for you, how to get started, and you'll continue to follow us as we share our journey over the coming years. And we'll be bringing in some of our investors, some of our property community that we work with, and some business specialists as well, so that we can share knowledge, insights, and make it accessible and achievable for you as well.
Yeah, I think that's the idea behind the podcast in the first place, is more of an educational tool than anything else.
Yeah.
And sort of share our knowledge that we've got so far and the knowledge of the specialists that we use. Mm-hmm. Because I would say what we call our powertrain, which is the professionals that we use for all our purchases of property, are really good at what they do, and their knowledge is invaluable.
Absolutely. So that's it for today, and hopefully you'll tune in next time and we'll have some more guests to come along and chat to you.
Thank you.